Hi, I'm Gav, and this is I Want to Know How to Feel Good. In this video, we're going to talk about how to blend with the feelings about how you look, specifically what you perceive as your flaws. We'll also talk about letting go even more during a blending session by allowing your emotional self to take the lead. And later in the video, we'll talk about ways to protect your confidence when it comes to sharing your experience of good feelings with the people around you. But first, let's look at blending with your feelings about how you look. It's true that we all have our perceived flaws about how we look. But it's also true that what we call our flaws, other people don't even notice these things about ourselves that we shine such a negative light on. For example, I used to think that I was ugly, to a point that I convinced myself that I was. And keeping in mind that this is how I used to look. What happened? Of course. As we move through this crazy thing called life, it's important that we are comfortable in our own skin. If you think that you're fat, ugly, have a big nose, no chin, small boobs, going bald, have a big backside, dark hair when you prefer blonde, blonde hair when you prefer dark, if you think that you're too tall, too short, too thin, or if you think that you don't have a bum but you just have a crack at the bottom of your back, or whatever it is that you perceive your own personal flaws to be, then these can all be used as topics to blend with the feelings of. Using what you perceive you look like as a topic can carry with it a whole chapter in your search to feeling better about you, your look, and your body type. This means that you may spend a lot of time choosing your perceived flaws as a topic, as one thing that most of us share is that we all want to feel better about ourselves, enabling us to carry more confidence in our stride. By now, I know that you know how to blend with your feelings, but since we're going on such a personal and intimate topic, which is about you, we can use this topic to get to know even more about our emotional self. Once you've used the second version of the instruction command to blend with all of the feelings that make you feel all of the flaws that you perceive about your looks, I want you to then try and let go even further and focus on blending with whatever thought comes to mind about your perceived flaws, and then blend with those feelings as they come to you one at a time. As in doing so, you will be able to explore even deeper thoughts, feelings and beliefs that you have about yourself. Thoughts, feelings and beliefs that are below the surface level, as exploring your depths will allow you to feel even better than you have in a good while. And always remembering to throw the soul and blend with any fears, apprehension or uncertainty that you have about any thought that scares you or puts you off from continuing with blending with your feelings. When I was working through this self-help system, I usually felt like I was just winging it, as I'd learned how to trust my emotional self to let me know what to blend with next. And when I started a blending session, I had no idea where it was going to lead. But it never felt like I wasn't in control. Instead, I just knew that I was becoming an even better observer of my feelings. To work with your emotional self, which refers to the part of you that knows exactly the path to take to enable you to feel good on a more permanent basis, means that your role is just to become an even greater observer of your feelings blending into your body and looking out for any thought that comes next to blend with the feelings of. But as you allow your emotional self to take you into deeper places, you may notice that the thought telling you what feelings to blend with next doesn't always come at the end of when you're saying the instruction command while you're watching the feelings blending into your body. Sometimes you receive the next feeling to blend with while you're actually saying the instruction command. What I noticed was, as I said the instruction command, was the next thought to blend with came to me around this part. I asked the part of me that can to please allow the feeling that makes me feel scared that I think that I'm ugly to blend with my mind and my body. as I now see that it's time to allow the feelings that make me feel that to fully blend with every part of my mind and body. I noticed that just before I said the word scared, a thought came to mind which told me hopeless during the first part of the instruction command. I began to follow and trust this thought, which became known as the helping thought. Then, as I watched the feelings blending into my body, I already knew what feeling to blend with next. I asked the part of me that can to please allow the feeling that makes me feel hopeless, that I think that I'm ugly, to blend with my mind and body, as I now see that it's time to allow the feelings that make me feel that to fully blend with every part of my mind and body. This time, I noticed that after I said the word hopeless, a thought came to mind which told me pathetic. So, as I watched the feelings blending into my body, I already knew what feeling to blend with next. I asked the part of me that can to please allow the feeling that makes me feel pathetic, that I think that I'm ugly, to blend with my mind and my body, as I now see that it's time to allow the feelings that make me feel that to fully blend with every part of my mind and body. Then, as I observed the feelings blending into my body, I knew what feeling to blend with next. I knew that the next feeling to blend with was the feeling that made me feel pitiful, and so on. Once you've exhausted everything that you can think about your perceived flaws, spend some time letting go and allowing your emotional self to lead the way by looking out for the helping thought, letting you know what feeling to blend with next as you turn your eye to becoming an even better observer. As a tip, the helping thought always seemed a little quieter than my usual thoughts, as to me it seemed to have its own quiet signature. Look out for this thought during your next blending session. If you're not aware of it in your next one, then you will become aware of it in a future blending session. The helping thought comes to us when we've cleared up all our surface level feelings and are now ready to explore the deeper levels of our emotions. So if a thought doesn't come to you during the first part of the instruction command, then this could be because you just don't need it yet, as you'll be doing just fine clearing up the surface level feelings on your own. But once you've explored all that you can think about your personal perceived flaws, then spend a bit of time blending with your feelings while looking out for the helping thought in the way that I described, as they will take you even deeper into yourself so you can blend with the feelings that dwell within as yet unexplored parts of yourself. Now let's look at ways to protect your confidence. Confidence is a lot like gravity, in that gravity can be so strong that it pulls galaxies together and keeps all the planets and their moons in place. But gravity is so weak that if I throw a pencil in the air, for a brief moment I've just broken through Earth's gravitational pull. Confidence works much in the same way. Confidence can make you feel unstoppable. It can make you believe that nothing will ever come in your way and that you really are the master of your life. But if you and I was meeting face to face and you was telling me how you was blending with your feelings, and I said to you, really? With just one word, you could find that your confidence of blending with your feelings is broken. Confidence is something that's earned and built up over time. In the beginning, our confidence is fragile and needs to be protected, as it's easily lost. You need to protect your confidence about each method that you try in this self-help system. And when each method begins to make you feel generally better than you did, you will need to protect the confidence that you are building in your newly forming emotional state. But protected from what, or from whom? Well, the short answer would be from the people around you, as some people just don't like to see people around them flourish. Also, some people have a good heart, but sometimes their brain may not be in gear, meaning that they could have the best intentions, but still say the wrong thing at the wrong time and accidentally break your confidence with their words. But not everyone is like this, as some people have a good heart and their brain is in the right gear and they genuinely want to listen and to support you. Telling your new story about the progress you are making and that you're beginning to feel better than you're used to can be a wonderful story, and it's an important story that should be shared. But sharing your story with the wrong kind of person could cause the house of cards that you are building to come crashing down, leaving you feeling like you're starting on the first square of the board game. But there is a simple way to help protect yourselves from the negative people and from the people who have a kind heart but just say the wrong thing, which is to think of the Snakes and Ladders board game, which you may have played as a child. If you remember, in the Snakes and Ladders game, you roll the dice to determine how many spaces to move your piece along the board. And if you landed on the head of a snake, you moved down the board. But if you landed at the bottom of a ladder, you moved up the board. So I ask you, who around you is like a snake? Who is it that makes you feel that you've moved down the board after talking with them? And who around you is more like a ladder? Who is it that makes you feel that you've moved up the board after talking with them, even if it's just a small movement? If you have a snake around you, the best thing that you can do for now is to limit the time that you spend with them, as some people are simply unaware that they're not very supportive or that they're actually being negative. And the worst thing that you could do is to tell them that they are a snake to you, as this term already carries with it a derogatory meaning. When we use the term snake, we're not saying that they're deceitful or backstabbing or misleading. We're just saying that they make you feel worse for being in their presence or in a conversation with them, which for anyone is still a really tough pill to swallow, so please don't tell them that they are a snake. If you are unable to limit the time you spend with a person or people who are like snakes to you, for example, you may live with a person who's like a snake, then let's not try and give them a reason to make you feel like you're moving down the board by telling them all the ins and outs of your newly forming good feelings. It also doesn't matter who the person is to you. If a person makes you feel worse and you find yourself beginning to feel that you're just there to listen to them, or if you find yourself thinking of ways to get out of the conversation, then this person is definitely like a snake to you. But for now, keep the snakes at arm's length, as later in this self-help system, there will be some great exercises to help you deal with these snakes that make you feel bad by sending those bad feelings back to them without them knowing, which is a lot of fun to see how the balance of power tips and eventually changes into your favour between you and the people who are like snakes to you. Your ladders. If you have a ladder around you, a person who makes you feel that you're moving up the board, then it's important that you look after your ladders. If you can and if it's appropriate to do so, tell them from time to time that you appreciate them and that you get a lot from being around them and from their support or even just being in their company. But it's important that you don't get into the habit of relying on them for everything, as you don't want your ladder to begin seeing you as a snake. But sharing your good news with ladders can be a great and wonderful experience, as to be supported when times are changing and getting better is a wonderful person to have in your life. From now on, keep in mind what kinds of people you have around you at the moment, and use the snakes and ladders metaphor to help keep the snakes at arm's length and the ladders knocking on your door. Please feel free to like, comment, subscribe and share this video. I'll end by saying that we're now getting into the more subtle aspects of blending with your feelings. But still, none of this is difficult to learn. It's just that it's new. It's important to take progress slowly and not to try and rush yourself into feeling good and feeling better than you used to. Whenever you can, and whenever your feelings aren't overwhelming you, it's important to take it easy on yourself. As one thing that I discovered about myself while I was working through this system was that sometimes I was a huge snake to myself by constantly applying pressure to my progress of feeling better. Enjoying the feelings after you've finished a blending session is an important part of this self-help system, as by working through the entirety of this self-help system, we are aiming to feel good on a more permanent basis. So it's good to exercise practicing feeling good and to live your life as a person who feels good whenever you experience this part of yourself. With that said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.